All right. Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome. And as my friend Ray just reminded me there, thank you for sticking with us there through some technical difficulties. Welcome to our weekly show. We call it Three Broke Guys Handicapping, where we review one of the top racing cars from around the United States. We will select a four-race sequence from that track and attempt to come to a consensus on a pick four ticket. Thank you for joining us. Week number 20 of the racing season finds us making our only trip of the season to historic Pimlico racetrack in Baltimore, Maryland. It's the second jewel in the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes. The pick four starts in race number 10. It ends in race 13. They are all stakes in the pick four on Saturday. So my name is Rich Sharp, and each week I'll be joined by my friends and racing analysts. It's our East Coast handicapper. He checks in from Staten Island, New York. Ray, I bet your weather is a lot different than from where you were last week.
Definitely. We were in the 90s today. But it's going to cool down until the next few days until 60s, mid 60s. But that's still pretty much better than what it was before. Last year I was in Baltimore in a hotel, and this year I'm home. So, same thing. A year forward.
All right. And our West Coast handicapper, he checks in from his home. It's in Temecula, California. Joe English, is your weather any different ever?
Well, it's heated up. It's going to get hot this weekend. It's going to be where Ray's weather was couple today. Obviously, it's supposed to be in the 90s all the weekend this weekend.
Nice. Yeah. I'm not too far away from Joe, as you all know. So, all right. Last week was Big Sandy, Belmont Park in Elmont, New York. It's actually normally, the history shows that it's normally one of our better handicapping venues. But that's how it goes when you're slumping. Again, we only managed 1 out of 4 selections for our pick four ticket. The result moves our hit percentage, which I had a question from somebody this week. So our hit percentage is the cumulative total of the races, the number that we've actually picked the winner in. So those are the hit percentage for us. And we are just under 60% now for the season. We're like 58.9%. So I'm going to give you a brief weather update from Baltimore, Maryland. For those of you who are watching the Black Eyed Susan today, the forecast for Saturday calls for cloudy skies. It's got a high of 68 tomorrow. The winds are at 10 to 15 miles an hour, and they have a 20% chance of rain. Now, if it's anything like the rain that we saw today, it will turn Pimlico back into a lake. So just keep that in mind. 20% chance of rain tomorrow. There are a total of 14 races. There are 8 stakes, on tap for Saturday. And for today, we are focused on the pick four. It begins in race number 10. It concludes in race 13. Gentlemen, the gates are locked and loaded. The outriders are clear, and the starter is ready to pop the gate. It's pick four post time.
Let's do it.
All right. Race number 10. The approximate post time is 4:07 p.m. Eastern. Guaranteed pool of $2 million in the pick four tomorrow. $2 million in the pick four tomorrow. Wow. A mile and a 16th on the turf. This is the Gallarette Stakes, a grade 3. Purse is $150,000. Fillies and mares, 3-year-olds upward. 10 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 6. Okay, it is not week 4. So I think some of my stats here may have deceived me for a moment. I apologize, folks. It is, I believe it's on, is it on leave? Yes. Yeah. It's on leave, and on leave is traded by Shug McGahee and ridden by Jose Ortiz, and she is in post number 6. And with that, I'm not going to try and make it any prettier. Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you. Who do you like in the Gallarette?
Well, to be honest, I was trying to beat the favorite. Part of the reason I'm trying to beat the favorite, and I don't have on leave on my ticket, is because the barn is ice cold. One thing about Formulator is that it lets you run a statistical analysis, and it gives you one for the past 30 days. Shug McGahee's barn over the past 30 days is 1 for 30, 3%. I'm not going to take a horse who hasn't. The horse has won a grade 2. Is coming off a long layoff. Not that McGahee can't get the horse ready. Not that the horse is not a good horse. I'm taking a stand against the short price with a barn that's ice cold. Again, 1 for 30 tells me a lot. So she's not going to be on my ticket. I'm going with the other logical contender, and that's the 7, Alicia's World. I think that's the way it's pronounced, Alicia's World. Chad Brown, Joel Rosario, 5-2 on the morning line. And I prefer over on leave in part because of that stat. But here's another stat for you, and again, Formulator, I gave a tip to the hat to. This is at Pimlico over the last 5 years.
Whoops, Joe, did I lose you?
Oh
no, I'm still here.
Okay, the last thing I heard was at Pimlico over the last 5 years.
Yeah, at Pimlico over the last 5 years, Chad Brown's horses are 7 for 14. And this is a guy who, in some instances, runs 2 horses in a race, so he can't help but be 7 for 14. He's actually won this race in the last 2 odd numbered years. In 2013, Pianist won at 6-1 under Mike Smith, and in 2015, What's the Chances won. And what year is this year? It's an odd year, 2017. Chad Brown's on fire. He's over the last 30 days, he's at 30%. He's barely beaten the takeout overall, but just the fact that his horses run at Pimlico, it seems like they run a lot better than they run anywhere else. The horse has the best speed figures. The horse has had a little time to get a break, and part of the main competition is running for a barn that's ice cold. So I'm going to take a chance on Alicia's World. I'm really tempted to single her, but I will use, instead of singling, I will use the 2, Zapesa, who is a little bit more accomplished than her counterparts. She's a grade 3 winner. She's placed twice in grade 1s, and she's been running against some pretty good horses. C. Khaleesi, Suffused, Tepin, if you might remember that one. Tuda Paesi, Lady Eli, Avenge, horses that this horse ran 5th in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf last year. The horse is coming back in less than 2 weeks, and I'm wondering if maybe she was too keyed up last time, coming off that layoff. Maybe she'll be a little bit more relaxed this time on the lead. And it's funny because I want to give a tip of the cap to Matt Carruthers, who always uses the speed and fade angle, but I think he uses it generally on turf. I don't know if a speed and fade on dirt on turf actually would be the same thing in his handicapping, in his toolbox. But it could very well be. And again, because McGahee's barn is just so cold, and on leave is 2-1. I think Zapesa is going to be probably overlooked in the betting. You might get 9-2. I don't have a problem with Joe Bravo getting back aboard. He rode her in the Beverly D last year, finishing 3rd again behind C. Khaleesi. So she's been running against some pretty good horses. And unless Alicia's World or On Leave becomes something like C. Khaleesi, this is one of the richest angles where, I don't see C. Khaleesi in the gate. I don't see Suffused. I don't see Tepin or Lady Eli in this thing. And maybe this horse will have some confidence, and maybe she'll get on the lead and wire this field. So for me, it's as simple as 7-2. And honestly, I'm considering putting in my own ticket and placing a ticket, singling the 7 on top. Like I said, I just think Chad Brown's horses are running lights out. They really run well at Pimlico. And like I said, he's on the turf. It's his world and everybody else is living in it. On the dirt, it's a Pletcher. It's Pletcher and Baffert. But on turf, it's Chad Brown. So I'll take the 7, Alicia's World, and underneath I would put the 2 Zapesa. I'd leave off because the barn's so cold and she's going to have to beat me. So 7-2 for me. Ray, what do you think of the Gallerat? What's your opinion? I saw your pick 4 ticket, so I know what it is, but please tell the audience.
Well, yeah, I'm on board with your 2 horses. I have another horse I like on top. Number 3, Danielova. She's 6-1. Since coming to U.S., she's had 4 starts and won 2 of them. We're 2nd. She should improve the first race off the layoff. She's the winner of the Dahlia Ungraded Stakes, and she could have a big 4-year-old campaign. Trevor McCarthy is riding very well at in the East Coast, and Grand Motion, he's ships horses everywhere, and he's got a good percentage, 20% at least. I do like Alicia's World. She's probably the likely favorite. Stakes placed in grade 2 events, like you said. This she encountered some slow, early, fast, late races this year, so that it kind of hurt her that they went slow, and then they coming home they were just too fast for her. She's a closer, so she's gonna need a fast pace to close into. And Chad Brown, of course, like you said, the man of the turf, and him and Rosario are 35% together, so they're clicking good. I use the speed horses to pass up. Number 2, speedy type, been running longer, so this cutback will definitely help. And Joe Bravo could put someone on the lead and never look back. Remember, Little Mike. Remember Little Mike twice. So second race off the layoff. Yes, you're right, Joe. She gets the class relief for the Grade One events, and those horses don't. They're not here today, so she's gonna be at top, and she might go. Keep going. So I'll go 3, 7, and 2. I got a few other horses for my pick 4, so I'll mention them later. All right, Rich, back to you. The Galloette.
I got to back up here because I handicapped this race on Wednesday night when we first got this one. So this was my first race up, and I actually went 4 deep on my individual ticket. I do believe the check mark, if I'm not mistaken, is over there with you and Joe. I liked Elise's World. I was not aware of how cold on leave or how cold the Shug McGahee barn was. So I kind of settled over here. Chad Brown is my favorite trader outside of California. Him and Joel Rosario are hitting at 35% together. And again, the horse has been solid here in the last two, a G3 and a G2, 2 second places to Dickinson. You see Sandiva behind her. You see Isabel Sings behind her. Again, a very talented horse. The only thing that gave me concern, and so that's the reason for my ticket here, is that On Leave really dusted this horse, or I shouldn't say dusted, but beat her fairly easily last September in the Sands Point when they were 3-year-olds. So depending on how much the maturity or if there's been any change in that and things like that, I was a little bit concerned in leaving On Leave out. So I've got the top two as my top line here, the 2, or the 6 and the 7. And then if I'm not mistaken, I actually did go 4 deep. And the only horse that I didn't hear that didn't get mentioned here is Cambodia, which is the Thomas Proctor Florent Giroux entry. And again, I thought the horse was very solid in form and looks like a good turf horse to me. So the 2 and the 10 are on my secondary line. I've got the 6 and the 7 on my top line. Ray has got the 2, the 3, and the 7 on his top line. And Joe has the 2 and the 7 on his top line. I want to remind Joe that last week, all show long, you talked about singling Zukova. She won like she was just a no-brainer on that day and things like that. So just keep that in mind that, Joe, you actually have the 7 and the 2 at this point in time, but you've got quite a few hours before actually they post it for tomorrow.
Yeah, Rich, but unfortunately she opened at 2 to 5, so obviously I wasn't the only one who saw that. Yeah. I can't take all the credit.
Yeah, the name of the game of the pick 4 is but you were the one that was you were singing the single. I watch our show on Saturday mornings and I was like, this guy's pretty strongly advocating here for a single, and that was before all the scratches.
Joe made it 2 to 5 and he went into the window.
Yeah, believe me, it wasn't. Yeah, right. I wish I had the wherewithal to make any horse 2 to 5.
With the million views you had,
Ray, I can't make a horse 2 to 5 at Los Al. Okay, forget that.
All right, moving along here, and we are up to race number 11, and this is the Sir Barton Stakes. They're going 1 mile and a 16th. This is on the main track. Purse is $100,000 for 3-year-olds only. 10 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 2. It's Hedge Fund, trained by Todd Pletcher and ridden by Javier Castellano, and he is 9 to 5 on the Pimlico morning line. Ray, who you like in the Sir Barton Stakes? This is the prep there for the Preakness.
This is the undercard Preakness horses who are just missed the Preakness, and they get to run in a 3-year-old race. Actually, I'm here. I mean, with my ticket, being built, and who's coming at the end. So I'm gonna try and beat Hedge Fund. So be it. I mean, if I'm out, I'm out. But I'm gonna go with number 7, True Timber. I think he's got a shot. He's 8 to 1. He's battled at Aqueduct some of the hot horses at the time, like El Reeb and J Boy's Echo, Irish War Cry. At the time, those horses were the hot horses. So he had a very hard time against them, and who wouldn't, because El Reeb was hot at that moment. He was blazing. So the switch to Rosario helps. He rode a club race in his first start as a maiden. Not too bad. Came past some horses at the end. I see him closer to the lead this time, so he doesn't burn himself out. And I don't think you're gonna get 8 to 1. I think maybe more like 4, 5, 6 to 1, maybe. I think he'll be bet down. He should be. There's a bit struggling there. They're 42% together, so they're hot. They get along well. Also number 9, Time to Travel, 7 to 2. I like him. He ran a decent at Lexington, made middle move, finished third, first time 2 turns. I always forgive a horse first time 2 turns. Going back to run again, and I give them a little forgiveness. First time they may have trouble managing those 2 turns, but usually they get stronger as the year goes on. And his horse adds Lasix. One of the positives there is that he's dropping from the grade threes. He picks up the hot John Velasquez, 36% in route races, so he knows how to get a horse a distance. Michael Matz training horses at Fair Hill, pacing with some bullets. So this horse is going to be in shape, so I think he's going to run a big race. So I'm going to go 7-9 on my ticket. I'm going to leave the 2 off because if he wins, I mean, I'm looking at a ticket that's going to be very low payout. So I'll take my chance. I'll go with 7-9, so I can spread elsewhere. All right, Joe, who you like to Sir Barton?
Time to travel, to be honest with you. It's funny, Ray. You're talking about trying to beat hedge fund, and I'm with you there. And it's funny because I'm looking at the jockey. I'm like, why isn't John? I mean, I know Castellano rode hedge fund before. I'm like, but considering that they just won the Derby, why isn't John Velasquez on this horse? I'm assuming he still has first call for Pletcher regardless. I mean, I know, again, Castellanos no slouch, obviously, but I would think that Velasquez would be on hedge fund more than I would think he would end up on the Mike Matz horse. But that's part of the reason I like the Mike Matz horse. It's fun. Again, I'll tip my cap to Formulator. Matz is 4 for 9 at Pimlico with a 4.44 ROI for when he runs horses back 28 to 35 days. And generally, they have a bullet work at Fairhill, which this one has on May 8th. First Lasix is a good angle with this barn. Generally, it's more with maidens than it is with winners already. But again, like Ray mentioned, first he ran well first time 2 turns. That was a pretty fast early pace that he was in attendance to. And again, the change from Edgar Prado, again, nothing against Edgar Prado, but from Edgar Prado to John Velasquez, the change is about a 4% difference. And again, because Velasquez is not on hedge fund, it kind of leads me against playing hedge fund. Now, again, could the horse win? Absolutely. And then we would be out if for whatever reason he doesn't end up on our group ticket. I mean, I know I'm like you were saying, Ray, I would like to try and have this ticket pay more than $30. And yes, if all 4 favorites win, considering the trainers, Chad Brown twice, Todd Pletcher twice, this is going to pay. It's going to pay peanuts regardless of the $2 million pool. I wouldn't expect it to pay more than $35 for 50 cents. So like you, I'm trying to beat hedge fund as well. Time to Travel is my top pick, but I'm also going to include another horse, the 6, Watch Me Whip. I know the horse is coming off a maiden win, and the horse is trying, obviously, 2 turns for the first time, and a graded stake for the first time. But again, formulator stat here. Dale Romans for 5 years with first-time starters going 7 furlongs. He's 2 for 38. But the one thing about it is this is one of the ones that won. So it doesn't necessarily mean – I think Romans kind of tries to give them a start, but this horse was good enough that he was able to win that race regardless of him, quote, not being ready. I don't know if that says more about the field he beat, considering the perfect partner ran second in an allowance race. He got beat by a Pletcher runner last week, Caviar Czar. I want to say it was the second race on Kentucky Derby Day. Also, Romans maiden winners last out, 36 to 42 days away, 7 for 21, 33%. And one of those horses was a horse that you guys might remember, not this time, who ran really well and almost beat Classic Empire in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And he keeps an eye on him. He works the horses slow at Churchill. So this is nothing new. And I'll take Saez is having a good year, 12 to 1. He would be a nice way to spruce up the ticket. Again, it's a reach, but generally most long shots are. And in this race, I know Ray advocated this earlier in the week, and it's possible that you could consider, if you don't like hedge fund, is to just go everybody and try and catch some long bomb and try and make this pick four reasonable. If you do like hedge fund and you think you need the single hedge fund, then you might be able to punch this ticket for $2, $3, $4. Again, like I said, if the four favorites win, it's not going to pay a lot, even with the $2 million pool, because a lot of the dead money is going to say, oh, Pletcher, he won the Derby, so yeah, we're going to be on that horse. And anybody's going to, okay, if they know Chad Brown, well, Chad Brown's got two favorites too, so they're going to be on that horse. So I don't think it'll pay much. So I'm trying to beat the favorites. So again, 9, 6 in that order for me. Time to travel over. Watch me whip. Rich?
I am on the exact same horse. So I ended up, and I'm trying to remember, I did my handicapping for these first two races a little bit earlier in the week. So I'm trying to recall back to where I was at that point in time. So I've got the 2 and the 9 in this race. So I covered the top two choices is what it was. I like the first time Lasix angle. Usually I like that more on the European starters coming over in turf races. In a dirt race with 3-year-olds, I'm not so sure. But I'm a big fan of Heartspun. This is a 3-year-old race, and again, me and Ray kind of brought this up. This is the kind of the Sir Barton is. I didn't make it in the Preakness stakes, so being by Hardspun, he's got some early turn of foot. I really liked Lexington, as Joe talked about. The pace in that race was insane. He was out there in the 3-path. There were some California horses that were in there with him. That helped to speed that race up. So I decided to go ahead and go against the favorite as well. But as you saw, I actually hit the chicken switch, unlike my two colleagues here. And I went ahead and used hedge fund on mine. So I've got the 9 as my top choice, and I've got hedge fund as my secondary or as my backup, just to kind of keep me alive just in case. So I went 9-2. I believe Ray went 7-9, and Joe went 9-6. And we'll see how this ticket looks as we come down to the consolidation phase, the critical period. So, all right, let me come on back to you guys. And we will move along to race number 12. And race number 12 is 1 mile and a 16th on the turf. It is the Longines Dixie Stakes. It's a grade 2. The purse is $250,000 for 3-year-olds and upward. 10 starters, and your morning line favorite is in post number 4. It's projected, the name of the horse is just Projected. Trained by Chad Brown and ridden by Jose Ortiz, comes in as your 2-1 morning line favorite. And once again, Mr. English, you are up first in the Longines Dixie Stakes.
Yeah, and I'm going to be singing Chad Brown's praises again, obviously. Again, his horses run lights out at Pimlico. If you look at the race that Projected comes out of, the allowance race at Keeneland, that was a race that was loaded, and Divisadero came back to win the Woodford Reserve Turf Classics. That was a prep for him, but he ended up winning. Pluvin, the horse who ran third, also came back to win. Third off the layoff, Chad Brown, Joel Rosario. We've already sung those praises already. It's the same old song, and if I were to get 3-1, that would be terrific. I mean, I understand this is a pretty deep field. You might get 2-1. Because there are other horses in this field who've shown ability, and horses trained by local trainers so they may get a little bit more play, like my second choice, and that's the 10 Ring Weekend, because obviously he's got some ability as well. He's been shipping around the country. He won the grade 1, which one was it? The Kilroe last year. He finished second in this race to, guess what, a Chad Brown runner last year in Takeover Target. And Rich and I obviously have a nice little history with Takeover Target, as he left Takeover Target off his ticket last year, and I jumped to the window and I went and bet the horse to win. And of course the horse did. So that's my little story for that. Again, John Velasquez gets back aboard Ring Weekend after having Bejarano on when he was out west. He's had a little bit of time to prepare for this spot. Graham Motion is also doing fairly well in his last 30 days. He's 12 for 50, which is 24%, which is generally a little bit above where he is on a normal scale. So his barn's doing well. The outside post, I don't know if that's really a concern. He's generally a closer. He kind of sits back and waits. I just hope he doesn't end up with a wide trip. Again, John Velasquez, the jock of the day. Him or Rosario is the way it looks. So unfortunately, as much as it pained me and as much as I thought this race was really difficult earlier in the week, the formulator statistics just bore out that Chad Brown and Projected are the horse to beat. Again, I will probably play multiple pick four tickets if I happen to get to a betting facility in time tomorrow. I will, like I said, I might play multiple pick four tickets, and the 3 Projected might be singled on some of them. Again, I'm not going to bet against Chad Brown. And again, if I can get anywhere close to 5-2, I'll make a win bet on the horse, despite the fact that it's a loaded field and there are other horses with talent. And I will mention a couple when we talk about our pick fours later. But for the show, 410 for me, Projected over Ring Weekend. Ray, I know you have your Keno ticket lined up for this one, so I'll give you more time. Go for it.
Oh yeah, this race is. I found this race to be wide open.
But your pony is in it.
And we got him too. We got him too. He's coming second. All right, second in my picks here. Yes, this is. I found this race to be. I mean, I couldn't land on anybody. Well, there were a few that I did draw, but I'm gonna start with number 7, Black Type. He had a tough race for his 2017 debut. The Maker's Mark. He ran a credible 5th after a poor break, and he ran 5th, 5 wide in the 5 path. He should be better fit for this race. He's actually 7 for 22 lifetime, so he knows how to win. Jose Ortiz been running very well on the turf and on the dirt too. So Christopher Clement, he's pretty good on the turf too. So they're shipping him. They get a shot here, and this horse should run very well. We've been facing some, you see his running line, heart to heart, Jay Gatsby and Ironicus, Mr. Speaker. So we want to get some decent horses. Grade 2s. So this is a grade 2, so same company. And we got number 2, My Pony, World Approval, the great son of With Approval. Remember With Approval? Great horse.
We gotta get a picture of you photoshopped on that horse.
I sent you guys a text over the week of World Approval.
Yeah, we saw.
I know. So it broke my heart that it was scratched from the Woodford Reserve because he would have won by 10. Not joking. Just joking.
I was going to say, I hope. Can I have some of what you were smoking that week?
Yeah. He's a grade 1 warrior, as you guys know. But he won in 9 Nations. He's always sticking around these big races, so he gets his once in a while. Let Brood, Mark Cassie. So he'll be on the pace for the inside. You'll see him. Nice big gray horse. We got number 4 Projected, the horse you like. You got 2 races in the U.S., a strong 4th in its first race. And he actually his first race in 18 months. He had heart-to-heart day. He had a Conquest Panthera. Yeah, he won the allowance race last time, so this year have him ready for Dixie. Chad Brown was Rosario. Again, 35%. His horse got 5 wins, not 4 seconds, so he's been close 9 times in his actor out of 13. So he'll be there. Number 8, Catapult. Chad Brown give him a chance to better company. When you go on as high as him, he could throw anybody in there, and they have a chance. He's got some good solid workouts for Saratoga on a training and main track. And he can sit a nice, perfect garden trip here. He's got speed, but he can stay close and have a first run at the leaders. And you're gonna get Castellano, Chad Brown 10-1 around that price, so that's a good deal. I got a few other horses. I'll keep going, but I'll save those for later on. So for now, it'll be 7-2-4-8, Rich. 7-2-4-8. And I'm if we didn't have this budget, man, there was one button you like to hit. ALL.
All right, so I'm up. I was actually on the same horse that Joe started with. Projected is a very classy horse that came over from overseas last year, actually a couple of years ago, from Longchamp over in France. And again, he's got some nice line. He's got some nice company that was over there. Mr. Owen is the one that I highlighted when I was handicapping a little bit earlier. They brought him over here. I mean, to show their confidence, they put him right in the Canadian Turf International with. And again, heart to heart, Pandora's benefit. I think we handicapped that race. And so that was his first try here in the United States off of a little bit over a 16-month layoff that he was on. And again, he was hitting right with the best that we have to offer there in a grade 3 that was at Gulfstream Park. They stuck him in. I kind of giggled at this. This was an allowance race, it's a non-winners race or a non-winners of cash race down there at Keeneland. And that just goes to show you how deadly Keeneland is, because the second place horse is Divisadero and third place is Pluven in that race, for God's sakes. Um, but projected as a very solid horse. Chad Brown, Joe Rosario, we've already talked about. They hit 35% together. It's a turf race. It's Chad Brown. So as Joe talked about, I'm probably looking at a potential single here with projected. If I am using someone else, if I'm backing him up, Ray kind of touched on this horse, Black Type. So he had won 3 in a row, including at Laurel. He had won the Commonwealth Turf Cup. Laurel kind of being, the better Pimlico nowadays, and the more modern Pimlico. So he does have no wins or no races here at Pimlico, but he does have a win in Baltimore at least. He's a closer, and then off of that, the Knickerbocker, the Artie Schiller, and the Maker's Mark. He hit some good companionship there, and he availed himself pretty well. I mean, he's a couple of lengths off from winning 6 in a row, possibly. So I put the 4 as my top horse. I've got the 7 down there as my secondary horse. I did consider Ring Weekend, which is what Joe had brought up, as we've talked about on the show before. I kind of have this strange perversion against California turf horses, which is what Ring Weekend has kind of turned himself into, starting last year in about November of last year. He did win the Kilrow a couple of years ago when Joe didn't hang out with me that day at Santa Anita, and I bet him that day. As a matter of fact, I think I hit that pick 4 with Ring Weekend in it, but. I've got the concern now, almost like a reverse prejudice against him, of he's not beating up on the California turf horses, who I do still consider to be a notch below. I know It's in the Post went over there and won at Keeneland, but I still consider the California turf horses to be about just a half a notch maybe below what we see over on the East Coast still. And if you look at his last 3 running lines, although he's very close, he's right there. He hasn't quite gotten first at any one of those races out there in California. And now, here he is going back against the East Coast, which I think of as the harder hitters. I thought this race was pretty tough. I wouldn't argue with Ray and his Keno machine in this one. But to try and save, some money here, I went 4 with a 7 backing it up. Ray has got the 2, the 4, the 7, and the 8. And I believe Joe has the 4 and the 10.
Correct.
All right. And coming back here for the big one.
The big one. There's a big race?
There's a big race tomorrow, Joe.
Really? Oh, my God. Wow.
And it is race number 13. They are going 1 mile and 3/8. It is the Preakness. Grade 1. Purse is $1.5 million, again, for 3-year-olds only. 10 starters, and your morning line favorite starts from post number 4. It is your Kentucky Derby champion, Always Dreaming, trained by Todd Pletcher and ridden by John Velasquez. He is 4-5 on the Pimlico morning line. And Ray, what do you think? How do you like 4-5 and Always Dreaming at Pimlico tomorrow in the big one?
Well, he looks good. Yeah, he's got the look of a Triple Crown contender. He just has that. He's got that flow. He's got that speed and he can control the race. He can sit second. He can sit third. If they go out there blazing, he ain't gonna be in the lead. He'll be like a few lengths behind. So he'll run when he has to. I think. I mean, since he's gone around 2 turns, he's won by 22 lengths, 4 races. He's been pretty dominant. I missed him in the Derby, unfortunately, but he can he can make his own trip. I was trying to beat him, and I decided, nah, I'm gonna go for root for him, and there's some horses here that have a chance to beat him, but I'm gonna go with Always Dreaming. I'm gonna single him on my ticket. I just want to mention Classic Empire. Uh, I mean, this is my opinion. I don't think he's actually. I mean, he's had some trouble this year as a 3-year-old. He seems to be like one of those horses we've seen before. Great 2-year-old campaign, and he just hasn't turned. He hasn't made that move to 3. Maybe later on during the year he'll be a better horse, more fit, more mature. But right now I don't think he has it, and I don't think I'll leave him off my ticket, and that's just my opinion. Maybe later on he'll be a great horse as he matures, but right now, you know, I know they say that the trip of the Derby was bad for him. He did run pretty good fought, but he had. I mean, he was bounced around, but still. Uh, his Arkansas Derby. I mean, he beat a few horses there. But you don't see him you don't see him anywhere right now, and he barely beat them by half a length. So uh, I think Always Dreaming is just getting better and better, and he's got that speed, that cruising speed, and he's gonna be tough. He's gonna be very tough. And that's it. Always Dreaming. Let's go to Belmont, have a big show. I mean, Brooklyn stables, local trainer, jockey, local jockey. That place would be crazy because usually when the when the Triple Crown goes there, you have this outsider and people are rooting for him, but not with the heart. You know what I'm saying? So this one might be different. You might have some more of the neighborhood people there rooting for the horse. So let's see what happens. Joe, any
Uh,
opinion?
yeah, really? You're asking me if I have an opinion?
I'm handing up on this
Uh,
one, number 4.
my opinion is I'm glad you're finally coming around. If you remember right, I think I said that about Classic Empire a while back. I thought I said that that maybe the day of the Breeders' Cup Classic was his peak, and maybe he won't get back to where he was as a 2-year-old. And the fact that they're running him back, if you think about it, this is his 3rd start in 5 weeks. And he had to win. He had to earn points to get into the Derby by winning by finishing 2nd or better in the Arkansas Derby, which he did. And of course, he had everybody knows about the nightmare trip, which is why I sent a tweet earlier in the week about, man, I kind of think the Classic Empire and Always Dreaming are going to be closer in the odds than what they have on the morning line, because everybody's talking, Classic Empire had a horrible trip in the Derby, which he did. I'm not arguing that. But Always Dreaming and Always Dreaming did have a great trip, but he won with what looked like to me something in reserve. I don't think they've hit this horse's bottom yet. I think he's fresh. I think he's going to win. I'm really kind of interested in what the pace dynamic's going to be, and Conquest Mo Money is the key to the race for me. Not necessarily to win the race, but to the pace setup, because I'm thinking about it. I'm like, well, my guess is Classic Empire is going to shadow Always Dreaming wherever he goes. The question will that be behind Conquest Mo Money? Will Conquest Mo Money go to the lead? And then if that's the case, if he clears Always Dreaming, Classic Empire is in a good spot because he can hold Always Dreaming in behind Conquest Mo Money, get first run, and maybe win that way. Maybe he's got the lead in the top of the lane, and maybe Always Dreaming has to go and get him. If Conquest Mo Money, I've heard this theory on the internet, thanks to the cowboy Kevin Cox, talking about, if you remember what Mike Smith did aboard FNX in the Breeders' Cup behind American Pharoah, he rode for 2nd. Maybe they just let Always Dreaming go, sit 2nd, don't use much early in the race, and just try to run for 2nd, try to get because I guess Kevin Cox said the 2nd place is like $300,000. That's not a bad payday, and yours gets placed in a Triple Crown race, a classic race. That'd be good for the sire's value. So no question about that. That's a possibility. Well, then the other possibility is that Always Dreaming just breaks so well. Conquest Mo Money doesn't break well, and they sit, okay, well, Always Dreaming's on the lead, Classic Empire is his shadow, and maybe we get an affirmed Alidar down the stretch. Who knows? That's also a possibility too. Because I mean, looking at this race early in the week, I was like, where in the heck is all the speed? Where did it go? I think every horse, Multipliers a closer, Cloud Computing, Hence. I'm like, all these horses are horses that come from the back. Term of Art. I mean, Term of Art's going to be probably 15 to 20 lengths off the lead early. Like there's no speed. To me, if Conquest Mo Money doesn't press Always Dreaming, you could see if you go back to Always Dreaming and look at that race, the allowance race he ran at Gulfstream, it was like 25 and 51. If there's no speed up there, I could see him easily trying to get away with doing that again. And who's going to stop him? Like I said, I think he won the Derby with something in reserve. All reports are saying that he's got as much energy, if not more, than he did the day of the Derby. He's won 4 in a row, so it's not as if there isn't some chance that maybe at some point he's going to hit the wall. But it doesn't look like to me that this is the spot. I think he's really got two of the 3 pace scenarios have him in a prime position turning for home. And again, I just think he won with something in the tank. So just like Ray, I would take the 4 to 5 on Always Dreaming. I would single him. I think there's a good chance that there might be some bombs underneath. I mean, I kind of like looking at Leader run second again, except I wish the race was a little bit longer for him. I wish it was 1.25 miles instead of 1 3/16. So maybe some of the closers could have an impact if Classic Empire doesn't fire, or if Always Dreaming just happens to run him into defeat and he ends up backing up through the lane. Who knows? But like Ray, I'm on the Always Dreaming bandwagon. I hope there's a chance for a Triple Crown. I think he's the best horse in I don't want to say in the crop, because that would be slighting Mastery, who would have been the favorite in the Derby. Had he run and won in the Santa Anita Derby, he would have been the favorite over Always Dreaming regardless. And maybe down the line, maybe it's Mastery and Always Dreaming that we're talking about later in the year. Maybe at Saratoga, maybe at Monmouth, maybe in the Breeders' Cup Classic as the rivalry. Because I'm sure if Mastery comes back, he's going to have a say with what goes on in the 3-year-old picture, even though he won't be around for the Classics. So it's Always Dreaming for me too. I would just single, take the short price, take the money and run. So I will pass it on to Rich, and I see where his check mark is on the screen. So I will let him speak now. Rich?
Yeah, the Dodgers and the Marlins have chosen to get into a little dust up on the field while this is all going on. So.
All right, there you go. How you play ball?
Wait a minute. Donnie Baseball's Marlins?
Yeah.
That's okay. Anyway.
I got benches clearing on the TV behind me. I'm trying to handicap horses. I'm not going to argue with anything. So Always Dreaming has won 4 in a row. Looking like a spectacular horse and certainly a deserving favorite for the Preakness. So I'm not taking anything away from him with this analysis that I'm about to provide here. I went with Classic Empire based on the fact of Classic Empire has had 2 losses in his life. One, as we know, was the Holy Bull, which afterwards he came up with a little bit of a foot problem. And the second one is now the Kentucky Derby, which, as Joe and Ray have already kind of alluded to, he had a bit of a rough trip. As a matter of fact, he came out with an eye that looked like he'd been in a boxing match. So -2 races where he's had some excuse and like that. The horse has still got a perfect record. So I thought I would give him one more try at this. Again, getting a 3-1 on this. I might actually single on Classic Empire. I've only got 2 horses here at this point in time. So more than likely, I'm just going to use them both. I'm going to use the 4 and the 5 and to keep it down there. But I did like Classic Empire to be able to turn the table on him. I was tempted earlier. I love this horse in the Arkansas Derby. I do not see a ton of speed. Conquest Mo Money is clearly the fastest horse in this race. I do think Always Dreaming is just going to be able to run him down. I don't think he's going to be able to put Always Dreaming away and stay out there. But I was interested for a little while here. Miguel Hernandez, Jorge Carreno. I was thinking about going for the bomb. I did bet him the day that he was there in the Arkansas Derby and got nosed out by Classic Empire. So I've got if I'm not mistaken, I've got 4-5, and Joe and Ray have both just singled with the 4.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, let me come on back. And I will turn it over to Ray and Joe. I will apologize to everybody here while they go ahead and give you their individual pick 4s. I did not have an opportunity to go ahead and get their pick 4 tickets up. I've been having some PC issues this week. And unfortunately, I did not get their pick 4 tickets up there, but they did put pick 4 tickets together for you. So at the very least, we can go ahead and cover those for you. Hold on one second. And I will try and... see if I can get my sheets back.
Well, you're doing that, Rich. Do you want us to just take over and since we don't have
let's see. Anyway. I was going to see if I could actually at least bring it up so you can watch it go on.
Yeah. Well, let me just put it
1 second.
Sure. I just want to mention that the one I sent you had the wrong number. I had the 3 instead of the 4 in race 12. So it's a good thing that you weren't able to put it up, because I would have blamed graphics like they do on TVG.
There you go. I appreciate that. Well, Joe, why don't you go ahead and fire away first? And I think I've got you guys on the screen now.
No problem. Race 10, I went too deep, and like Rich was alluded to, I'm thinking, unfortunately, that this might be one of those where 3 favorites win and the one bomb would come in race 11. Alicia's World would be my top choice, the 7. Chad Brown, Joel Rosario don't need to go much further. Zapes has been facing better, and like Ray says, the cutback in distance and the cutback in company makes her dangerous at 9-2. So it was 7-2 for me. And again, I'll mention that Chug McGahee's barn is cold, which is why I left on leave completely off my ticket, which means one of two things: either I'll be right and Alicia's World will win, or I'll be wrong and on leave will win, and everybody else should just run to the windows. Race 11, I just went too deep with the horses I talked about on the show. The 9, Time to Travel for Mike Matz, local trainer, and Johnny V gets up instead of being on hedge fund for Pletcher. And the 6, Watch Me Whip, who won despite Dale Roman's lackluster performance with 2-year-olds debuting at 7 furlongs. And he's 12-1 on the morning line, so he'd be one that I would love to watch and love to see get home and be the bomb in the race, in the one race that might, to me, has a lot less likely of a favorite winning. Race 12 is the Dixie, and again I went 4, and as Rich put up, I'm blaming graphics again. It's 410 for me. Were my top 2 choices projected for Chad Brown, Joel Rosario again, and the 10 was Ring Weekend. But I do want to mention the other 2 horses, and Ray already talked about Black Type, and I actually had a chance to watch, and I was doing the homework a while back. I watched Black Type's race last time out, and I'll read what I wrote in my notes. Lunged left start, rail mid-pack, turn 1, inside American Patriot, boxed backside, boxed in, nearing 4 furlongs, still unhurried, boxed in, turn 2, room to split, entering the stretch, held in by winner 316, really little room in the stretch, and finished okay, better than looked. So I do like Black Type a little bit. I wish he was a little bit more than 4-1 on the morning line. I don't really know that he's in projected or Ring Weekends class, but I think that last race was tough, and I think he'll run better this time, and maybe he'll be the 3rd or 4th choice. So he would be on my ticket. And I also put in, and again, I know you guys are going to say, but you talked about Chug McGahee's barn earlier in the 10th race. I put Security Risk on my ticket, and he's the 1, McGahee and Florent Giroux. And the reason I put Security Risk on my ticket, well, there's a couple of reasons. One, this 5-year-old beat Conquest Typhoon in his last race, and Conquest Typhoon came back to run a 96 buyer, improved his buyer figure by 6 points after that race. So I kind of wonder if maybe that 91 speed figure for that allowance winning Keelan isn't a little bit low. He's going to be on the lead, and this is the 1 for 30. When I talked about Chug McGahee being 1 for 30 over the last 30 days, this, just like the stat I gave for Dale Romans with Watch Me Whip, this is the one horse who decided to say, screw the barn being so cold. I don't care. I'm going to be good enough to win the race anyway. This is his 3rd start in the cycle. He's going to get a ground-saving trip from the rail. He's going to have speed. Yes, he's going to have world approval to beat. But considering he's 12-1, and he's, like I said, the only horse in McGahee's barn who's won over the past 30 days, despite some of the horses being low odds, and a lot of them, my guess is, I think it was about half of them being less than 3-1, which shows me that a lot of people are betting McGahee, but the horses just aren't running for him. At 12-1, I would take the risk. I wouldn't take it at 2-1, 5-2, 3-1 with a horse like that, especially with a horse like On Leave, who's coming off a long layoff. So I would add the 1 on my ticket. And we just talked about the Preakness. It was basically Always Dreaming for me. He's got the right style. It's not like he's like Orb or Fusaichi Pegasus, who were both overbet when they were trying to close, and Orb drew a terrible post. He drew the rail that day, and he really almost had no chance to win that race when Oxbow beat him a couple of years ago. He's Always Dreaming is going to be close to the lead. He's probably going to have to outrun both Classic Empire and Conquest Mo Money. I think he had a lot left in the tank after the Derby, and I just think he's the most likely winner on the day. So I would single Always Dreaming in the Preakness. So now I'll hand it off to Mr. Kino. Ray, what do you got? I see a $35 ticket.
Oh yeah. We had 3 horses I mentioned in the Gallerat, the 3, the 7, the 2, Danilova, Alicia World, and Zepesa. I'm adding On Leave. First race of the year, fresh off layoff. McGahee gets a good strong works on the turf for the return. 4-race winning streak broken by a wide trip. and Jose Ortiz is the only jockey that she knows. So he'll probably be second choice in betting. But I put her in this as a security blanket there. I do like number 10, Cambodia, steps up in class. Like I think Rich mentioned the horse with Giroux and Proctor. It's a local horse running up for Laurel. Uh, three shows this year, so at least the game's some lengths. Maybe the outside post to give a better trip. But it's rough to include this horse in the ticket because at 8 to 1, it'll be a nice start. I'll stay pat with the Sir Barton, the 7 and 9. Trying to beat Hedge Fund. Just and if he wins, well, we'll be playing daily doubles for the 11 and 12. Actually 12 and 13. So True Timber, been running well against other horses. Time to travel. Everybody likes his horse on the show, so we all are the consensus of that one. Um, this horse looks a likely winner. Ran well first time 2 turns. Second time, it should be a little more sharper. In the Dixie, Rich, I had the 7, 2, 4, 8, 7 and the 10 at the end. So you missed a few horses there. I got 7 deep here out of 10. I'm just trying to, if I'm alive, get me a winner here, and so hopefully somebody with good odds. I'll mention number 9, Conquest Typhoon. He's 15 to 1. 15 last year's Dixie. He was in the race at the top of stretch until he tired late. Casey attracts Mike Smith, so that's a good move. And 15 to 1 morning line, that price could come down. And could get a nice firm pace to run at. Number 3, Top or Mind, 15 to 1. This is a local claiming horse, takes a shot at the greatest stakes action. This horse almost caught Black Type at 29 to 1 in the Commonwealth at Laurel. So, he's getting better. At this price, these are where the bombs come in, and you start scratching your head. So, I'm gonna include them if I'm alive. Victor Krasko's a decent jockey over there. This is a 3 BG angle horse, close on the inside. He'll have to be patient and just choose to see whether he goes ground saving trip or go wide. So, then we get number 10, Ring Weekend. Just missed the last year's Dixie, and ships in for the West Coast with Giant V gets them out. And the Kilroy Mile again uses as his last race, so that's a good prep. So we're gonna go 7, 2, 4, 8, 9, 3, 10, and make note the other horses I didn't choose probably come in. And then in the Preakness, well, we got Always Dreaming, number 4, 4 to 5, probably less than that, but this horse looks solid. I mean, I wasn't a believer a month ago, but now I am. I saw him run. And he's just getting better and better. So that's my ticket there, $35, and we'll take a shot. I guess I don't know if the track can probably be wet fast or good, right, for tomorrow. It was a mess today. I
Based on
really
what
the
I
track
saw
was
today, I'm not going to predict
sloppy.
anything. Yeah, that thing was a mess.
Well, it was only a mess after that rainstorm because apparently through the first until the Black Eyed Susan it was
When I turned
the
on,
track was fine.
Yeah,
From what I was hearing.
Wow, it looks sloppy.
It was just a downpour at that late out.
Yeah.
It was like one of those Florida downpours.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like Hurricane Ivan downpour. So, all right, yeah, you guys gonna like this. This is the most economical ticket I think we've ever had. All right, so here we go. In leg 1, we've got the 2 and the 7. Actually, technically, those are just Joe's 2 top picks.
What's it, Lotto?
Yeah, Joe. And Joe, you matched up the 7 with both me and Ray because we had the 7. We also had the 7, and Ray also had Ray also had the 2. So
I'm gonna play it 100 times right there. Look at that.
There you go. It's a C note, man.
In the 11th, the only horse that we managed to match up was the 9. As you see there, the 2, the 6, excuse me, the 2, the 6, and the 7. Excuse me.
I was gonna say Ray had the 7. Yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. The 2, the 6, and the 7 would be our 3 underneath horses that we all 3 of us had that as our second choice, but the 9 was our top choice for all 3 of us. And then moving over to race number 12. And there you go. We all had projected as our top pick, the 4. And no, we did not manage to manage up a secondary pick underneath. And in the finale, you guys both singled Always Dreaming. Kind of made it a no-brainer. I had Always Dreaming along with, but I had Classic Empire as my top choice. So again, $1, 2-7 with 9 with 4 with 4.
Okay, let's do a little adding here, Rich. I got an idea. Since you think we have some room for it,
we can leave Always Dreaming as our closer there at the end.
I would say in leg 2, why don't we put all of the horses in there? Again, I'm kind of against hedge fund, but because the ticket is so small, we could still probably make a profit if we put them all in. To me, the toughest leg is leg 3, because Ray's got 15 of the 10 horses in his ticket. So I don't think we could use. If we're going to use all 4 in leg 2, I don't think we can use all 7. I mean, we can technically if we wanted to use all 7, because that would be a $28 ticket, 2x4 by 7 by single, if we wanted to go that way. I mean, it's fine with me. I'd rather kind of try and not go that deep.
Well, if you go this way, right? If you go 4 times 4 times 2, then that's just 16.
16, yeah.
Right. Okay, so that would be because that would so the 2 is, I'm trying to think of the name. I know the 4 is projected, the 10 is Ring Weekend, the 7 is Black Type, the 2 is which horse?
Hang on, who was the 2?
Waterpool.
That's the one of the ones that Ray had.
Oh, World of
Waterpool.
Oh, how could we forget that?
Yeah, you don't leave it alone.
Hello. How could we forget that? So I mean, if we want to go that way, that 2x4 by 4 by so that'd be $16. That's somewhat reasonable. And like I said, even if it so happens that hedge fund wins and Alicia's World wins as the favorite. Again, I don't think it'll pay more than $30, but if we're only investing 16, it's still a profit. So I'm all for doing that. This ticket looks fine by me. I'd rather not.
Yeah, I'm with you.
There it is. All right,
All right.
So Ray, do you have any objection to the ticket as we have it on the screen?
No, good.
Okay.
2-7 with 2-6-7-9 with 2-4-7-10. With Always Dreaming as our closer. He's our Kenley Jansen tomorrow night.
Well, let's hope he's more like, well, I don't want to say Eric Gagne from a few years ago, if you want to go Dodger fan on it, where he was basically automatic.
Yeah.
But,
have you got that one?
I have it, Rich. I have it written down. Yes. So we're all good. Belated Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there, to our moms and our wives who take care of our children, to my wife Denise and my mom Joanne. Happy Mother's Day, belatedly, mom and dear. So we missed that last week's show. Yes.
And unfortunately, since we will not be on the air next week, since we're taking a little bit of a break here and things like that, we are going to have to wish our good friend Joe English a happy birthday this Friday. So, Joe, happy birthday. He is hitting the big half-century mark. The big X, man.
Thank you.
Big 50.
Yeah, Super Bowl L. I'm just an L now.
I hit it last year.
Unfortunately, some people would say L might stand for one thing. I'm just taking it as the Roman numeral for 50.
There you go.
Happy birthday! I hit the 50 last year. That's your turn.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm hitting the big 50 on Sunday, and I'm taking this road show. Like LeBron said a few years ago, I'm taking my act to not South Beach, but Sin City. Vegas tomorrow morning. Well, probably about 1:00 tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice.
And I will be back at some point Monday night. Maybe that would be Monday night / Tuesday morning, depending on when I leave.
So you'll be in Vegas in time to bet the Preakness.
I will be in time to bet the Preakness. Not sure I'll be there in time to bet the pick 4. So what I may end up doing is I may stop at Prim to bet it at the casino at State Line
Good idea.
on the way there, and either that or maybe, well, if the Lake Elsinore Casino, give them a shout out if they're open tomorrow morning. Maybe I'll stop in there on my way.
Absolutely.
But I'd really rather actually get out of town, so I'll probably bet it at Prim if I do. But thank you for the well wishes.
Have a good time.
Yes, have a great
Thanks.
time.
I just hope I remember some of it come Monday night.
All right. For those of you watching, if you enjoyed the show, just a programming note, we will not be back next week. We are taking a little break here in between the Triple Crown races. We will be back on for the Belmont Stakes. So give us about 3 weeks, and we are back on again. We're going to take a look at another exciting card at that point in time, and hopefully we'll be looking at another Triple Crown winner. So let's all hope for Always Dreaming tomorrow. All right, gentlemen, that's all the time we have for tonight. It's always a pleasure to handicap with the two of you.
Yes,
Yes,
thank you very
always.
much. Yes, it's always fun. We enjoy doing the show. We need the break, but believe me, when we come back in 3 weeks, we'll be like the fresh off the layoff horse. We'll be loaded with energy and ready to go.
You're deadly, yeah. For Joe English and Ray Torado, I'm Rich Sharp. Thank you for watching Three Right Broke Guys Handicapping. Good luck and good night.
All right, good night.
Bonus nachos.
Happy birthday, Joe.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, and look for our post on Facebook.